What's up everybody, Danny here from The Neighbor's Kitchen, and thank you for being here. Hey, with winter being right around the corner, it is of my opinion that everybody needs a kick-ass pot roast recipe in their pockets. So today, I'm gonna show you mine. I combine a rustic style with using a cast iron Dutch oven in a low and slow oven. And with this method, we're going to produce the most ultra tender beef you can imagine, perfectly textured vegetables, and a sauce that is just layered in flavor that is just certain to warm your soul. So hey, let's get cooking. Okay, so I have all of our aromatics already prepared. We just have about 3 to 4 stalks of celery and 4 cloves of garlic, an onion, rosemary, thyme, and some bay leaves. Now what we're going to want to do is go ahead and get everything preheated. So we're at the same time going to make sure there's nothing in here. Sometimes I leave a toothpick so that air can circulate from these guys. This is my 5-quart 2-in-1 Dutch oven from Lodge. The lid is also a 10 1/4 inch skillet, so that's kind of neat. We'll leave the lid off for now. Real quick, this is a do as I say, not as you see me do kind of moment. My kitchen has poor circulation. That is something I want to address. When I turn this fan on, it's just a recirculator, and I cannot get that out of my audio to save my life. So I'm going to go a little lower than I would care for to get this seared. It's going to take me a little bit longer, so I'll speed up the video to make it look normal. But you will want a medium-high heat. I'm going to go with a pretty medium heat. And also, to combat some smoke, I'm going to use something with a high smoke point, like avocado oil. If I were outside, if it was a little nicer, I'd probably do this on the flat top with some bacon grease, just to inject a little more flavor. Give it a good glug of oil. And then we're going to step over here to our chuck roast. This is a 3.06 ounce chuck roast. And we want to go ahead and pat it dry. This is not optional. If you put a moist chuck roast into a hot pan, it's going to steam it. That's not going to give it the right texture. And part of this recipe for the ultra tender beef is the sear kind of gives this like an armor, and it keeps the moisture in the beef. I really love this 5-quart Dutch oven, but some of these 3-pounders don't fit in there. So we're actually going to do it in 2 stages. We got a fat vein coming there. So I think what I'll do, we'll follow this line. I think that'll do nicely. And we're just going to sear these in stages, no big deal. I just use my 2-to-1. My 2-to-1 is not just for convenience. If you prepare this 2-to-1 and let it sit, the kosher salt will just kind of absorb the black pepper flavor and give you a little deeper of a seasoning. But we're just going to go ahead, get these guys nice and coated. That'll do it. Let's take this over here. Okay, once your Dutch oven is up to temperature, go ahead and grab your favorite pair of tongs, and we're going to start searing this bad boy. See how we're doing here. There we go. Just about 3 to 4 minutes per side. I think I'm a little closer to 6 to 7, but I explained to you. Look, the smoke alarm's not going off and the fan's not on, so you can hear me. Let's go ahead and finish up this sear. All right, I like that. Now it's time to build the base. So we have all this fond on the bottom. We're not going to get rid of that. That is wonderful flavor. And it looks like we have enough oil. So we're going to continue. First thing I'm going to do, this is my board of aromatics. We're going to place the onion in. Take a spoon. Get our onion all nice and coated with some of that oil. And then what I like to do is make a landing zone here for our garlic. So 1, 2. That guy got away from me a little bit. 3. And 4 cloves. Grab all this stuff out of there too. Start letting that go, get all nice aromatic. We're going to give it a little bit of a leg up on the competition with a hefty pinch of 2 to 1. See that fond's already starting to come up. That's going to be really good flavor. Right before my onions are fully sauteed, I'm going to go ahead and add in my celery just to help that get a little bit softened up. And that's going to add a little bit more moisture that's going to help get that fond up. Great, that's exactly what I was looking for. Let's continue building the base. Leaving the heat on, you're going to add 2 cups of beef broth, half a cup of red wine. This is just a dry, cheap Sauvignon Blanc. I'm a beer guy. Tablespoon, this is where umami comes from. This is going to add one of those layers of flavor I was telling you about. This is a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. This is not so much for flavor as it is texture. We want 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. The acidity is going to give it a little bit of a layer of flavor, but it's more for texture. If you're not new to the channel, you know when I cook indoors, I like to add a little bit of smoke flavor where I can. And I found a little bit of smoked paprika goes a long way in ramping up that smoke flavor indoors. Now we're just going to give this a good mix. And if you remember, there was some of that fond stuck right there. So we're just going to use our spoon and see if we can lift all of that into our recipe. Immediately, before we even add all the ingredients, it's just like a velvety, smooth, kind of sweet and savory, wonderful goodness of flavor. You're going to love this. I can't wait till you try this. And let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, so our base is almost done. We are going to now gently place our seared chuck roast on. And actually, I cut this quite nicely. That was an accident, I won't lie to you. But that's going to fit in very nice. We want to finish off with some bay leaves. I do like using dehydrated bay leaves. There's just there's a flavor in fresh ones I don't care for. 2 rosemary sprigs and 3 sprigs of thyme. And we're just going to make sure. I like to leave those towards the top instead of mixing them in case these cook too much and their leaves start to fall off. I might remove them in the next step. Speaking of the next step, you might notice that the root vegetables are not in this yet. We're going to bake this in the oven for 2 hours before adding our carrots and our potatoes. One of the things that's very tricky in a pot roast is getting your textures right at the same time. If you bake low and slow for 2 hours, your meat's not going to pull apart. If you go 3.5 hours, your potatoes and your carrots are going to be all mushy, gross, no texture, just kind of a gelatinous no bueno. So, we're going to cover this guy up. We can turn off the heat from the stove, and we're going to put it into a 300-degree preheated oven for 2 hours. So the next step you want to do is go ahead and add this into your preheated oven. And as you'll see here, I have moved my grate down here since this is kind of tall. You want your whole Dutch oven to be pretty centralized. So right there for 2 hours, we're going to come back, we're going to add our root vegetables, then it gets another 60 minutes. All right guys, it has been 2 hours, and let me just try to explain to you the smells that are going on in the house. Well, they're wonderful. They're rosemary and thyme and garlic and a little bit of, onions and beef. And there's a bit of a velvety, I don't know, something coming out of that red wine smells really good. So we're gonna slide this on out of here, add the rest of our vegetables, and get this dinner finished up. So here we go. There's our lovely little Dutch oven. We just kind of slide the top off so we can get under the handles. Look at that. Is that beautiful or is that beautiful? It smells really good. You can kind of tell without using forks that our beef is not ready to pull apart. So let me tell you what we got going on here. I found this recently and I absolutely love this, especially this time of year during harvest. These rainbow carrots, they come washed and peeled, ready to go. If you can't find these, the regular carrots cook just the same. So we're gonna get those added into the mix. And you can use whatever kind of potatoes you like. I like these little spudlings. They're gold potatoes. If you want to get just normal potatoes, or if you buy them in bulk, just cut them into bite-sized pieces, kind of like that. These are my favorite. There's something about these, the texture when they're cooked right. Woo, it's just, I love it. But yeah, these each are 1 pound each. We're gonna give those potatoes just another just like little leg up on the competition. We're gonna give those a bit of 2-to-1 on the top. Not gonna mix it all in. There's gonna be plenty of steam going around the lid that they're going to finish up just wonderfully. Go ahead and put that on. Slide it on so that now we have good handles. And once again, we go in. Nice and centered for 1 hour. We may or may not be done at that point. A total of 3.5 hours is not out of the question. But I'm going to pull it out at the 1 hour mark from now, which will be a total of 3. Just check on everything. Make sure we're where we want everything to be so we don't ruin it and have just a fantastic meal. See you guys in 60 minutes. Okie dokie, it's been an hour. Let's go ahead. We're not going to shut off the oven quite yet. We're going to pull this guy out, see where we're at. Yeah, baby. There we go. Smells delicious. Just going to come in here with some forks. Oh yeah. Potatoes are not done yet. Carrots are about where I'd like them to be. Yeah, maybe not quite. Let's see. Just do a sample. Meat is not shredding like I would like it to either. We're going back in for another half an hour. All right, here we are at the 3.5 hour mark total. That would be 1.5 hours with the vegetables and then the entire time braising our meat. Beautiful little cast iron Dutch oven. Oh yeah, baby. Look at that. Let's take a look. Potatoes are nice and soft. Sorry. That's a carrot, Daniel. Yep, carrots are nice and soft. I think that's where I want it too. Let's see. Oh yeah. You see how we got 3 out of 3. Our beef just shreds apart with ease. Our carrots are nice and soft. Potatoes. See if I can find a smaller one here. Let's just take a quick sample here. Another 15 minutes wouldn't hurt us if we need it. This is gonna hurt me. It's got that buttery smooth texture I was talking about. All right, we'll move on to the next step. All right, now that we've tested everything, we can go ahead, turn the oven off. Can you guys see this okay? Is this light make it better? Yeah, there you go. Just gently remember this is hot. You don't want to splash it all over yourself. Just go ahead and shred your beef. Okay. In the intro, I told you that this sauce is layered in flavors. This is already pretty layered. There's one layer that I swear by. That is at the end. Just give it about a tablespoon or so of Dijon mustard. You can stir that in. Next to the Worcestershire sauce. And the, if you find these, go ahead and pull those out. Those are the stems from one of the aromatics. This is just an extra layer. It really makes this recipe a little more. Ooh, I didn't do a good job at that guy right there. Hang on, guys. All right, it's dinner time. So let's go in here. Make sure to grab a little bit of everything. I did a terrible job at getting my carrots. Ooh, look at that spoonful. I got a yellow one, an orange one of the ones that used to be purple. Get another chunk of that beef. Maybe another potato. Oh yeah. And certainly not last, a little bit of the sauce to go over the top. I wish you guys could smell this. All the flavors we put into that sauce, they come out, especially in the beef. Because the beef, it's just, you see how tender that is? But you dive into the protein. First off, it's a little hot. Well, first off, it is really hot. No, but really first off, it is ultra tender. And then towards the back of your mouth, you pick up on the rosemary and the thyme. You get a little bit of that celery, the onion, the broth. Everything's in there. Once you get it down your throat a little bit, you pick up on a little bit of that fermented sweetness from the wine. And just a little bit of the after flavor on your tongue. You get that Dijon mustard. And this is an exciting meal. And then you go and you start getting some of your vegetables. I love these rainbow carrots. This one was one of the white ones. And we added it in halfway through the cook. A little less than halfway. So it's not too mushy. So it should still have a little bit of integrity to it. See? Look at that. So we got ultra tender beef and carrots that aren't like baby food in our potatoes. This is one of the reasons here. I do encourage you, find out what potatoes are your favorite. I like these little ones because if you don't cut them or perforate them before you put them in, they cook all the way through during the braising process of your meat, but they have a little crunch to them. And that just adds for a nice little upgrade in texture in your pot roast. See, check this out. I did it again! And last but not least, we got to talk about this sauce that's in here. It's doing all the legwork. It's magnificent. With all those layers of flavor. You're going to love it. You're going to love this recipe. There's something smooth about it. I love it. I've been working on this for a few years now, guys. I think I'm calling it quits, and that's why I'm sharing it with you. This is my kick-ass pot roast recipe, and I'm very happy to share it with you today. Let me know if you try it. Let me know what you think. Share it with your friends and family. Thank you so much for being here. If you don't mind, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Once again, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Until next time, be well.